what I'll show you is the basic. This is what you do. This is what 99% of the people who are not racing, this is what you're going to do with your skis. So it's quite simple. You don't need a ton of equipment. Most people that come in and want to buy stuff, they're pleasantly surprised at how little equipment and how little of an investment. You don't need a table like this. Vices are nice, ask Gordy. But you don't need it. You could probably make something of your own to keep the the skis on and stuff like that. But you don't need a whole lot of gear. So basically, what you do is, if you had your ski, I forgot to bring some base cleaner. Swix makes base cleaner. You could go to like Menards or Fleet Farm and get like a citrus-based base cleaner, and you put that on your ski, let it sit for a few minutes, and what that does is work into the ski base, and all you do is take a rag or something and clean that away. All you're doing is working that wax that's embedded in the base of the ski up to the surface and getting rid of it. That way you're working with a completely clean base. Once that would be done, all you're doing, I'm just going to use some of our bulk wax. I've brought a couple of different types of waxes here. CH is going to be the most popular that most people are going to use. Excuse me, this is CH. When you start to get into stuff that's LF, and then they've got, I forget what the other ones are, LF stands for low fluorocarbon. This is faster. None of us here, unless you're racing, need to use this to waste of money. You're talking splits. I mean, these are like 16, 18, something like that a piece. Something like these will last you quite a while. There's 3 of them, and this one we have.
And what do you charge to do it if we bring it in?
$12. And that's cheaper.
So that's like 10 times. 8
Yep.
times I'd have to.
Yep. Yeah. 6, 7, 8. They make a 4, 6, 7, 8, and a 10, I believe. All those are temperature ranges. And they have temperature ranges right on. CH6 is going to be from 10 until 21 degrees. That's quite a bit of what we have around here. 7 is what we use at the store. Just kind of covers everything. That's from 18 to 28. On average, that's about what it is. Out here, out west, yeah, you can get colder. If you have this on and it happens to get to 15 degrees or 12 degrees, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to like be stuck there and not moving anywhere. It's nothing like that. It's just you kind of pick. If it's a really cold day, I normally will always put my skis with 7. We do a Montana trip every March. I'll always bring some of this along because you never quite know what you're going to get. If it's really cold and I'm headed up to Marquette or something like that and I know it's going to be really cold, I'll move to 6. Other than that, this stuff, which is what this is, you can buy it in bulk, is what we use down in the shop and what most people use. We go through probably 20 of these for every 1 or 2 of these, of the other ones on either side of it. So all I'm doing, this is just a wax iron from Swix. Cool thing about the Swix stuff is they've got a temperature gauge on the back, and it has the little numbers on it that correspond with this. So if I'm putting on 7, all I do is run the gauge to 7 and let it heat up. It's already at the temperature. These irons can get expensive. The reason they're expensive is the thermostat inside is extremely accurate. For what I'm doing here and for what most of you would be doing, you don't need it to be that accurate, but when you got guys that are racing and they're layering different temperatures of wax and they're getting very intricate because they're trying to get a little bit of speed out of their wax, they need this to be perfectly, it's got to be dead on as far as the temperature. So, or keep an eye out at a thrift store for a decent one that has like a temperature gauge on it. All you're looking to do is melt the wax. This isn't rocket science. So you don't have to go crazy with an iron. All I'm going to do, I've preheated this up, is put this on here, and all we're looking for it to do is just a steady drip, 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 drip. And all I'm going to do is run it over the entire base as fit. If you need to add a little more, you can add a little more. I kind of know, just from a few years of doing this, about how much I need to cover the base. Like I said, you can always add more. All you're looking for it to do when you put the iron down, 1, you don't want it to be crackling and popping the whole time. See how that was nice and quiet? If you start to hear crackling and popping and it's starting to smoke, it's too hot. You got to take it off, dial it down a little bit, and then restart it. All you're looking to do is cover the base. You don't have to go super slow, you don't have to go super fast. As long as the base is covered, as that heat is moving over the wax, the base of a ski is porous. Think of skin. As you're moving this thing over, it's the same as our skin. When it gets hot, it heats up, it opens up and allows sweat out. This is basically, once the iron goes over, It opens up the port and it's allowing wax to go in. The wax that's on the surface of the ski we're not interested in. We're interested in only getting wax into the base of the ski. So as long as it's covered, and this is a white base so it's not the easiest to see. Most skis are black bases so you can easily see that you've covered the whole thing. And like I said, all I'm doing here is what 99% of most skiers would ever need to do. Really the only variable comes down to choosing which wax you need to use, but the process of how you do it is no different. There's a thing we do in the shop if somebody needs it done, or it's a pair of skis been used and abused, waiting for it to cool. It's pretty straightforward. As soon as this is cooled down, I'll go through what we need to do to get metal. The only drawback to metal, you have to be careful. I have to keep this thing at an angle. I always keep my scraper super filed, really sharp, because what can happen if someone's going and especially if they're bending it a little bit and they get distracted and they bring the angle up too much, you can actually put a nasty scrape or scratch in the bottom of your. So I think these work better because the point is a little bit sharper. But you have to be a little more careful where with plastic you can't really mess it up. But they're like $6, $7, $8 from Swix for either or, so I think the plastic ones are a little less. When it comes completely coated in wax, and we'll scrape it off and finish the job, obviously it's included, you're just splitting it up basically.
If we don't bring them in, is there anything we can do to like oil them or anything like that, or is that bad? Or
For that is the base is actually engineered with the hairs and the base grain is pointing back like this for obvious reasons. You wouldn't want to be running into it. So you always want to do tip to tail. If you accidentally did it the other way, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. You'd never know. It's just through the lifetime of the ski you wouldn't want to be doing that and bringing up the base this way. So all I'm doing is just starting to slowly scrape this away. You cannot scrape too much wax off. The wax that we're looking to keep, like I said before, is inside the base. You can't scrape it away. So you'll know when you go over this, I feel resistance. You'll know when I go over an area that's been done, I'm getting nothing, on my scraper. You get a little bit here and there. You'll know when all the wax is gone. Nice thing about these vices, they don't move. The ski does not move. So you get towards the end and the ski wants to hop around. With these vices, it doesn't. It stays put exactly where you want it. So this is getting pretty good. You can run it over it again just to make sure you didn't miss any spots. Again, with a black base, you're going to be able to see, clear as day, you're going to be able to see if there's a spot you missed. With these, I just kind of run it over it. So that got the bulk of the wax off. We're on the home stretch. Get rid of this. A couple pair of skis, you go through that tin pretty quick. And but you could do something like that for the of wax. There's only so much wax that it's going to take off most, but there's still microscopic layers of wax that are on the base of that ski that you want to get rid of. So you may go over like this, and I got nothing on my hand, but yet you start out with a nylon brush. And you start to go with this, and all of a sudden you're getting all sorts of, you can't see it, but there's all sorts of little bits of wax that come off. So all it's doing is scraping another layer of wax off the ski.
How much are those brushes?
I'm going to say 15 to 20 each. You could get by with one of these and one of these, but on a black base, if you saw what this blue one does, it's a thing of beauty. I love using it. That's it. Oh, the last thing was storage. One thing you can do for storing throughout. Just get it done.
I have to wax my skis.
Just get it done once. I would do it early in the year. Yeah. And here is where you really see like the black. It just gets super rich and shiny. And then this is a final polisher. And you're basically done. Great idea. With an iron,